Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone. I typically start off my podcast episodes telling you how excited I am to be talking to you guys this week, but this time I'm nervous. This time I am going to be very vulnerable with you all, and I think it'll be very clear once I start. But this podcast episode is very special to me because I wanted to give you all more context around planning for the holidays and why that's so important to me, and how I'm hoping that this episode will really kind of hit home for you. And even if it doesn't, I want you to be able to know that you can do hard things. So let's take a step back. Most of you know or hear me reference my parents or my dad or my mom, but what I've never exactly made clear is that I actually have two families. There's my mother and my brother, my nephew, and then there are my parents, my two sisters, and my niece. My father, my birth father, he died when I was 13 years old. In that same year, my favorite aunt died. When all of that happened, my mother became incredibly depressed. Now, my father also struggled with drug abuse, so you can kind of imagine what things were like in my household at times. But what I will say is that it wasn't always rainbows and sunshine. When this all started happening, my mother, as I said, became very depressed and was very withdrawn for a very long time. She tried to do her best, but there were times where she was both emotionally and physically abusive. Now, if I were to say that to her now, we've gotten to a point where we can talk about it, and I've forgiven her and she's forgiven me. And the reason why I say she's forgiven me is because when I was 18, I moved out. I moved out and moved in with my parents. Now, I went to school with my sisters, and I was very close to Catherine initially and became close to Marty after. Now, what is really interesting about this situation is that I was starting to have symptoms of my thyroid disease during my late high school years. So you can only imagine how incredibly difficult it was to start having debilitating fatigue, anxiety, brain fog, and then having to deal with the fact that my mom was angry with me for leaving. And here are my parents trying to nurture me as much as they can because I was a mess. I was one big anxious mess. And in retrospect, I wouldn't have changed one thing. But as you can imagine, it's very difficult to manage having two very different families. I don't always talk about it in detail because it's something that's very hard for me, but this year, it had to be one of the most difficult years I've had, because not only was I not feeling well because I was too busy trying to do all the things and be everything for everyone else, but I was also having issues in my marriage. I was noticing that there were some things that were a little off with my mother, my birth mother, only to start realizing, because she has fibromyalgia and high blood pressure, but she had randomly kind of lost hearing in her left ear a couple years ago. And this year, she was really trying to be very adamant about figuring out what was wrong. And we learned that she had some calcification set up in vessels around, her neck. And that's what was causing the hearing loss and all those things. But for a while, they thought it was a brain tumor. And all of this is very difficult because I'm here and my mom is in Detroit. My brother doesn't exactly have the capacity at this very moment to really be the support that she needs. So ultimately, it all falls on me. In addition to that, my dad's cancer came back. He had some additional things going on, and for the sake of his privacy, I'm not going to go into detail about those things, but it was hard. It was very, very hard. And you might be wondering, well, okay, you're telling me these things, but kind of why are you telling me these things? And the reason why is because I have had to learn the hard way that it's so important to take care of yourself. I have been drained both physically and emotionally, and it's been something that I have had to really take a step back and think about what I wanted for myself, whether it was healing or to be miserable. And naturally, I chose the healing path. But in order for me to do that, I had a lot of things that I had to reconcile. The biggest thing was making sure that I was at a good place with my birth mother and my parents. Now, I've always had a great relationship with my parents, but as you can imagine, it's very difficult to move out of your mother's home when you were 18, knowing that she's going to suffer, knowing that she's going to carry that, knowing that she's going to blame herself. But at the end of the day, I was very suicidal at the time. And I knew that had I stayed, I wouldn't be here today. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. I've had to really think about who I wanted to be, and if I wanted to carry the things of my past into my present and future. I've decided that I'm not doing that. And the way that I knew that I was going to be able to move on was forgiveness. I had to learn how to forgive myself, but learn how to forgive others. And forgiveness is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. And as you go into this holiday season, and as you relate and interact with people of your family and your friends, sometimes it can be really hard to do that with a straight face, let alone a smile. And it was very difficult for me for a very long time to go home and visit my family because there was always some type of friction. But even though this may have been one of the hardest years, it's also been one of the most fruitful years because I realized that I had to do the work in order to really make my life what I wanted it to be after praying about it and asking for guidance first, of course. So here's what I want to share with you all. And I know that the holidays can be hard because many of you have lost a lot of loved ones during this time, sometimes back to back. And I want to remind you of a few things that I have been doing that has helped me to get to a point where I feel whole again. And that is, give yourself grace. Understand and recognize that not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, as I've said. Not every day is going to be that quote unquote perfect day. We all fail, we all fall short, but it's okay. Forgive yourself every day. Just take a deep breath and say, you know what? Insert your name here. It's all right. Today may not have been everything that I wanted it to be, but tomorrow is a new day, and I'm going to be grateful that I got a chance to experience today, because not only did I learn something, but I get to try to be one step further tomorrow. I have worked on improving my relationships, especially with my mother, my birth mother, and I would be lying to you if I said it was easy, because it wasn't. But I'm closer to her today than what I've ever really been. I'm closer to my parents than what I've ever been. And I'm working on my relationship with my brother and my sisters. Again, it's not easy, but I've made the conscious choice to try to be better. And the reason why I'm getting closer to these individuals is not because they've done something amazing. It's because I chose to be happy, and I chose to make the conscious decision to try to improve myself every day and work on my reactions to things. Because you're the only one that you can control. You can't control anyone else. And that leads into the next thing that I've learned, and that's learning how to let go and let God. I cannot do this on my own. I can't do it by myself. And I had to learn how to let go of trying to control everything, because for so long, I've been managing my thyroid disease, managing my mom, managing my husband, managing this person, that person. And I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot give from an empty cup. So I have to stop trying to do all the things and being team too much, because it's not getting me anywhere and I'm getting sicker and sicker. So I waved the white flag and I gave it all up. I have learned that I have to be incredibly patient, because nothing happens overnight. Whether it's healing, whether it's relationships, whether it's you, everything takes time. And just like when you plant a seed for a flower, Even though you can't see what's happening under the ground, that seed is growing, that seed is sprouting, that seed is producing roots, that seed is getting prepared to blossom to become the beautiful flower that it is. And that, my friend, is what is exactly happening to you in this season of your life. Things might not look pretty, they might not be nice, they might not be neat, but underneath that struggle, underneath that pain, underneath all of those things, there is something happening for you. There is something growing inside of you, and there are new skills and new things that you are about to uncover in the next season of your life that you would have never, ever, ever thought was going to happen. So I want you to take things one step at a time. Put one foot in front of the other and know and understand that you are going to win. You are a warrior. You are triumphant. And right now in this season of your life, I know it's hard, and I know that you have so much pain that you have to endure. And there might be times where you scream out loud, why is this so hard? Why can't I feel better? Why can't I heal? Why am I having all of these difficulties that I'm having? Well, let me be the one to tell you that there's joy on the other side, that there's resolve on the other side. You just have to be patient, and you just have to make sure that you're putting in the work on your part to make sure that you are going to make it. And I've learned how to smile. I've learned how to be happy. Happiness and joy are two very important things to me now. I didn't see the need for it before, but man, I have realized that I love to laugh. I love to be happy. I love to lift other people up. And when I got out of my own way and I realized that, my days have been so much better. Sure, I'm tired. Sure, I have fatigue. But because I'm happy, my mood is lifted, and I'm able to focus and do so much more. Now, I'm not Superwoman, and as I've said, everything takes time. So during this year, I've been trying to change my habits and behaviors, but I started with writing down how I feel. I've started saying positive affirmations to myself every day. And if you follow me on social media, particularly Instagram, in my stories, I'll post my I am statement for today. And I'm constantly reminding myself that I am those things, because if I don't believe it, if I don't speak life into myself, who else is? And I'm going to turn that question on to you. If you don't speak life into yourself, who else will? I've started going to therapy because I realized that I had a lot of anchors and a lot of things that I needed to deal with so that I could continue to feel better. I had to learn how to let those things go and stop pretending that everything was okay when it wasn't. Give yourself permission to do whatever it is that is safe and healthy for you to do in order for you to get well. And exercise is also my drug of choice. I have started to feel better mentally. I've started to feel stronger physically, and my self-esteem, I won't say it's through the roof, but it's getting pretty darn high. And I love the way I feel. I love my energy, and it's just wonderful. But again, it took time for me to get there. So what are your takeaways from this episode? What should you think about? What should you be doing? And I have a few for you. The first is I want you to recognize how amazing you are, because you are. I also want you to think and understand and know that you can do hard things. The healing process is difficult. Growth is hard. But there is nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. And everything that you're going through, there's a lesson in it. And I want you to try to find that lesson so that A, you can reflect on it, B, you can grow from it, and see if it was a bad lesson or a bad thing that you don't do it again. And lastly, I want you to understand that you are a warrior. And that is really why I coined the podcast, The Thyroid Warrior, because you're dealing with an organ that literally runs your body, whether you want to acknowledge that or think about it that way or not. It's like your capacity center. And to be able to manage your condition is hard. And you have to be a strong individual to be able to endure everything that your body throws at you on a daily basis. So, friend, you are a warrior. You are strong. You are capable. And I'm currently staring at a plaque that I have on my wall that says, "Your imperfections are what make you beautiful." And you don't have to be perfect. You're you, and that's all that matters. So during this season, do I want you to try really hard to take a minute to just breathe and relax? Absolutely. But I share my story with you guys today because it can be really stressful during the holiday season to juggle multiple things, to manage emotions, to try to really stay focused on being healthy and taking care of you. But I've prefaced my family to say, this year I'm not feeling all that great, and I need you guys' support. I need your help. And they have welcomed me with open arms, and I've never seen my family so excited to see me, because I don't ask for this all the time. And they all know that when Ebony's really asking for something, she needs it. So I want to remind you all that sometimes you have to ask for the support that you need. And I'm telling you that you have that support in me. And if you ever need a friend or someone to talk to, you can reach out to me. Just email me at info@ebonycolina.com. And we can go back and forth via email, or I can actually pick up the phone and call you and talk to you. Because again, I want you to understand you're stuck with me. We're friends, like BFFs. So with that, friends, I want you to really take care of yourself. Thanksgiving is coming up, and I want you to really focus on all of the things that are going to go right. Visualize that. And with that, I hope that you have an amazing end to your week. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. And if not, just be safe and be healthy and be whole. Take care.
Okay, Thyroid Warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.